A very warm greetings to all of you. Today, I thought of making a video on Nifty Next 50 Index. And the reason I am making it is because this has been one of the very good performers. In fact, giving return as good as small cap in the 23-24 bull run. And after that, it has been falling rapidly. In fact, it has been more volatile than even small cap and mid cap, and we'll see some of the data. And many people I know have been investing in the Nifty Next 50 ETF, which is the popular one is Junior Bs. So they have been investing in the ETF or the Nifty Next 50 index fund or even some of the momentum strategies which were running on Nifty Next 50. So I will try to make this video both in Hindi and English, a mix of that. So चलिए देखते हैं कि ये Nifty Next 50 क्या है. Nifty Next 50 is made up of stocks between 51 to 100 in terms of their rank on the free float market cap of all the stocks which are listed in NSE. So these are by definition top 100 stocks are considered as large cap. तो वो जो 100 stocks हैं उसमें से निफ्टी 50 के बाद 51 to 100 वाले जो स्टॉक हैं उनको निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 कहा जाता है और उनका ये इंडेक्स है जो कि एनएसई मैनेज करता है. अब देखिए लेट्स सी कि इस इंडेक्स में क्या चल रहा है और ये कैसे बिहेव कर रहा है और हम इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं. हमें इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए, पैसे निकाल लेने चाहिए. सो दिस इज समथिंग विच आई थॉट बेस्ड ऑन माई लर्निंग और वट एवर आई नो आई वॉन्टेड टू एक्सप्लेन टू यू. सो निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 है क्या? एंड इफ यू लुक एट हाउ इट हैज बीन परफॉर्मिंग, इट डेफिनेटली सीम्स टू बी टू हार्ड टू हैंडल. तो दो मेन रीजन जो कि मुझे समझ में आता है जिसके चलते इसकी वोलेटिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा है. पहली बात तो ये है कि इवन दो देर आर 50 स्टॉक्स इन दिस पर्टिकुलर इंडेक्स, अगर हम पिछले 5 साल का डेटा देखें, इफ वी लुक एट लास्ट 5 years, then there have been 104 unique stocks which have come or got out of Nifty Next 50, और उसमें there are only 16 stocks which have remained constant. So even if in a short period in stock market, which is 5 years, there are only 16 stocks which have remained constant in Nifty Next 50 index, which means there is a high volatility. The other thing is that it acts as a transitionary, जिसको कहते हैं ना कि वो किसी को कहीं जगह नहीं मिली, अगर निफ्टी 50 में नहीं पहुंच पा रहे हो और मिड कैप में नहीं है तो बीच में अटक गए. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. जो मिड कैप वाले थोड़ा अच्छा परफॉर्म करने लगते हैं वो निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 में आ जाते हैं, और जिनका परफॉर्मेंस निफ्टी 50 में खराब हो जाता है वो निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 में आ जाता है. तो इट इज एक्टिंग एज अ सम सॉर्ट ऑफ हॉल्ट. जो ट्रेन में कहते थे ना कि यहाँ पे हॉल्ट है, रुक गया, गाड़ी रुकती है ज्यादा, कभी रुकती है कभी नहीं रुकती है. सो समथिंग लाइक दैट, एंड दैट हैज क्रिएटेड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ वोलेटिलिटी. अब हम डेटा के माध्यम से देखते हैं कि अगर हम इसे कंपेयर करते हैं निफ्टी 50 स्मॉल कैप और मिड कैप से तो ये कैसा लगता है. तो मैं आपको एक इन्फोग्राफिक दिखाना चाहता हूँ. ये चार्ट है, ट्रेडिंग व्यू से मैंने लिया है और फिर आई हैव एडेड सम डेटा. इसमें जो डेटा है रिलेटेड टू बीटा, which is nothing but the volatility as compared to Nifty 50, the price to earning ratio and price to book value, all that data is as on 28th of February 2025. और जो फ्री फ्लोट मार्केट कैप एंड द टोटल ट्रेडेड परसेंटेज आउट ऑफ द टोटल ट्रेडिंग विच हैपेंस इन ऑल द स्टॉक्स लिस्टेड इन एनएसई, उसका जो डेटा है दैट डेटा इज फ्रॉम 30th of September 2024 एंड आई हैव टेकन दैट डेटा फ्रॉम एनएसई वेबसाइट. सो वो जो है वो डेटा का सोर्स है. अगर आप वो देख इफ वी लुक एट दैट पर्टिकुलर डेटा, then today, and this data is as on 28th Feb, as I'm saying. So if we look at Nifty Next 50 index, the 1-year beta is 1.29, which means कि अगर निफ्टी 1% से मूव करता है तो ये 1.29% से मूव करता है ऊपर और नीचे. सो डेफिनेटली इट्स मच मोर वोलेटाइल. अगर हम इसको कंपेयर करते हैं स्मॉल कैप का 1-year बीटा से, सो दैट इज 1.11 एंड मिड कैप बीटा इज 1.08. अब आप खुद देख पा रहे हैं कि निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 इज मच मोर वोलेटाइल एटलीस्ट इन द लास्ट 1-year पीरियड as compared to even the small cap and the mid cap. If we look at the valuation, while the valuation is little better, now the price to earning ratio has come down to 20.37 and price to book is 3.17 as compared to, अगर मैं इसको निफ्टी 50 से कंपेयर करता हूं, so Nifty 50 का price to earning is right now 19.27 and price to book is 3.29. काफी नजदीक अब आ रहा है in terms of the valuation. So काफी फॉल हो चुका है. देखते हैं आगे क्या होता है. अगर स्मॉल कैप देखें तो अभी भी स्मॉल कैप का प्राइस टू अर्निंग इज 26.09 एंड प्राइस टू बुक इज 3.2, और वही फिगर फॉर मिड कैप इज 33.44 विच इज द प्राइस टू अर्निंग एंड प्राइस टू बुक इज 4.65. तो अगर without too much of analysis, if we just look at it, then mid cap is still looking the most expensive out of all these 4 indices, and these 4 indices put together cover the top 500 companies listed on NSE. बट कहानी वहीं पे सारी खत्म नहीं हो जाती है, बिकॉज व्हेन वी आर लुकिंग एट प्राइस टू अर्निंग एंड प्राइस टू बुक, वी आल्सो लुक एट सम ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स ऑफ मिड कैप वेयर दे आर द ग्रोथ कंपनीज एंड ऑल दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टफ. सो that's not the only parameter, but based on price to book and price to earning, Nifty Next 50 is now coming closer to Nifty as opposed to mid cap, which is still expensive. But when we look at the volatility, it is much more volatile in the last 1 year period as compared to small cap and the mid cap. So that's the story. The third thing, just as a general information, अगर हम देखें कि हमारे मार्केट में जो ट्रेडिंग होती है एनएसई में, किस इंडेक्स में कितनी ट्रेडिंग होती है, तो अगर आप निफ्टी 50 से शुरू करते हैं तो निफ्टी 50 हैज 54%, जो टोटल मार्केट कैप हम लेते हैं एनएसई के सारे लिस्टेड स्टॉक का, 54% ऑफ दैट मार्केट कैप इज इन निफ्टी 50 स्टॉक्स. सेम इज 12.6% अगर हम निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 का लेते हैं, तो दोनों इंडेक्स मिला के 66.6%, विच आर द लार्ज कैप टॉप 100 कंपनीज ऑफ एनएसई. अगर हम वही मिड कैप में देखते हैं तो मिड कैप कॉन्स्टिट्यूट 16% ऑफ द टोटल फ्री फ्लोट, बट इसमें 150 स्टॉक्स हैं. सो इसके 150 स्टॉक add up to 16% of the total free float market cap as opposed to 12.6% in Nifty Next 50, and the same goes as 9% in the case of small cap 250. तो 9% small cap में, 16% mid cap में, 12.6% Nifty Next 50 और 54% ये निफ्टी के टॉप 50 स्टॉक हैं, जो कि if you look at it, it is adding up to almost 79 plus 12, so almost 91.6% of the total free float market cap of all the listed stocks in Nifty. Now, if we look at traded values, about 15% of the total traded value happens in Nifty Next 50. So what we are seeing here, you look at the chart. This is the comparative chart. You can clearly see that काफी हद तक, November 2024 तक Nifty Next 50 और Nifty 50 लगभग एक तरीके से चल रहे थे, और स्मॉल कैप एंड मिड कैप भाग रहे थे. बट उसके बाद यू सी दैट हाउ निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 has run up. Nifty Next 50 just took off, and in fact it performed pretty much in line with the small cap performance. But after that it has fallen also as hard, or in fact more. The fall is much steeper in the case of Nifty Next 50 as compared to even mid cap and small cap, and this is a telling sign that there is something which was happening. I don't know what was happening, maybe higher activity, maybe the type of companies that came. To some extent, the volatility which happened in the Adani stocks could be one of the factors as well. But essentially, if you look at beta, and if you mainly the beta, you realize that if someone in their portfolio is considering Nifty Next 50 as a large cap investment, they should rethink. That is the point I'm making. तो अगर आपको लग रहा है कि by investing in Nifty Next 50 आप large cap में invest कर रहे हो, तो technically yes आप large cap में invest कर रहे हो, लेकिन अगर आपका मकसद है स्टेबिलिटी और लो वोलेटिलिटी, वो आपको मिलेगा कि नहीं वो क्वेश्चनेबल है. कम से कम पिछले एक साल का डेटा देके लग रहा है कि वो आपको नहीं मिलने वाला है. तो निफ्टी 50 एक तरफ, बाकी 450 कंपनी, 450 कंपनीज विच इंक्लूड्स निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 एक तरफ. दैट इज हाउ आई एम लुकिंग एट द करंट मार्केट. 50 एक साथ, 450 अलग बकेट में. ओके, अब हम थोड़ा मूव करते हैं यहां से. सो लेट मी क्विकली गो टेक यू बैक टू द माय प्रेजेंटेशन. सो अब कहने का तात्पर्य क्या है? एम आई सेइंग कि यू शुड स्टॉप इन्वेस्टिंग इन निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50? तो ऐसी बात नहीं है. अगर हम देखें कि इतने मूड स्विंग के बाद भी आपके जो जो हमारे लीडर्स हैं, फ्यूचर के जो लीडर्स हैं, वो निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 में बैठे हैं, क्योंकि यही वाले स्टॉक्स दे विल डू वेल एंड दे विल गेट इनटू निफ्टी 50. सो दे हैव हायर ग्रोथ पोटेंशियल. आपको सेक्टर जो डाइवर्सिफिकेशन है, दैट डाइवर्सिफिकेशन इज हायर इन निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 एज कंपेयर टू निफ्टी 50. निफ्टी 50 में फाइनेंशियल्स का काफी वेटेज है, आईटी का काफी वेटेज है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप रिलायंस देखें और एचडीएफसी बैंक देखें, दैट इटसेल्फ, एंड आईसीआईसीआई बैंक देखें, ये तीनों स्टॉक का ही काफी मोर देन 30% वेट इज देयर इन निफ्टी. जबकि निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 के जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स हैं, दे आर बेटर इन टर्म्स ऑफ द डाइवर्सिफिकेशन, एंड ऑफ कोर्स दे सिट इन बिटवीन द मिड कैप एंड लार्ज कैप. So while I said that they act like a station or the halt, there is an advantage because they are in a sweet spot. Finally, I will show you through the chart that there is potential of mean reversion in this particular index. So एक मौका तो बनता है कि आपको इसको पूरा डिच मत कर दीजिए, इससे पैसे मत निकाल लीजिए, एंड यू लुक एट इन सम सॉर्ट ऑफ a systematic investment using the index fund in this particular category as per your asset allocation. So one of the data point which I wanted to just quickly show it to you, that I have gone back and looked at the last 20 years data, and I have looked at whenever we have reached a peak in Nifty Next 50 and fallen 20% or more than 20% from the peak, how much time it has taken us to recapture the all-time high, that swing high before that fall. So let's start with 2008 global financial crisis. वहां पे peak was in January 2008, and in 2 months in March, in 14 months in March 2009, it fell more than 60%. After that, it took it approximately, 3 years, in fact, uh, to go to all-time high. So it took 14 months of fall and 3 years of recovery. If we look at the Eurozone crisis in 2011, then it was a 5 months fall from August to December. It fell about 25%. And 5 months, it took 1 year to recover that. Similarly, in 2015 to 16, more demonetization and all those things that was happening. That time, it took 11 months for it to fall 22%. And then it took 18 months approximately. By September 2017, it was back to its previous all-time high. 2018 crisis, again 25% fall, which was a 4 month kind of fall between August to October 2018. But it took much longer. It took almost 2 years to recover. The fall in COVID was very rapid. In 1 month, it fell about 35%. It took more than a year. So typically, if I look at it, of course, this data is varied, but every time it has recovered. In the case of 2009, 2008 global financial crisis, it took longer, about 3 years. By mistake, it is 4 years because it's slightly higher than 3 years. But in all the other cases, it has taken a year to maximum 2 years to get back. Now, if we are looking at where we are now, as of Feb end, we have fallen 22.8%. So it has been in the fall since almost end of September. So I would say 5 months of fall has happened. And if you look at the history, there have been periods when there has been a 5 month fall and it has stopped, but there have been a period of, say, year and a half fall. Average, if I take out, it would be close to 6 to 9 months of fall. So there may be pain remaining for the next 3 to 4 months. But we know that whenever it reaches that fall, we don't know how much it will fall. Last was 35% in COVID. But wherever it stops, from there, in the next 1 to 1.5 years, going by the history, it should recover. So that's the point I'm making. And it has already fallen 22.8%. So other than the COVID and the global financial crisis, this index has not shown this kind of fall before. Okay. So that is some data point for you. And looking at all that, I think that, for the investors who are looking at a long-term horizon and have a higher risk appetite, they should stay invested. And in fact, they can do some SIP. So how should you approach that? I will just use the trading view chart to just take another 2 minutes and conclude this. I'm putting this Nifty Junior, which is Nifty Next 50 weekly chart. If you look on this, right, you clearly see that, the takeoff that happened sometimes in March of 2023, it was pretty much a one-way street. I mean, there was a consolidation in in September 2023, but from the November 2023 all the way till September, which was the 10-month period, this in that 10-month, this just ran up like crazy. I mean, I'll just show you how much it was. Okay, so let me just show you. So it went up by 81%, 81%, which is not a joke. It went up by 81% in that about 10-month period. Thus, mahine mein, it gave 80% return. Now, all these indices, this is a large cap index. There would be mean reversal. That's the nature of the market. And that is what it is showing. So now if I look at it, where we are from the top, okay, from the top, if you just look at it, we have fallen, sorry, just 1 second, please. Yeah, we have fallen as I was saying, almost 23, 24, or 25. In fact, including yesterday's fall, this is almost 25% fall. So we are down approximately 25% on this after running up more than 80% in the last 11 months. Now, if I just look at the support, at least from the weekly chart, I'm not seeing much of a support. If we stop here, maybe a little bit down 55,000, which is another 4-5%, there could be a support because, if I look at the weekly chart, I see that there was some sort of a price consolidation there, but a much bigger support is at 45,555. Now, I'm not saying it will go there because that will mean another 20% fall and pretty much retracing all of that. So let's just try to have a quick look using the Fibonacci retracement. Let's see how does the Fibonacci look. Yeah, so it will be a little bit approximate. Please pardon me for that. Yeah. So we have already fallen almost 50%. Now that's an important number in the Fibonacci if you look at it. So we are whatever started in 2023 almost in November, we have retraced 50%. 61% retracement is at 52,646, which is about 10% fall. And most likely it should stop there, which is say another 10% roughly fall from here. And then finally, I don't think it will go below 45,500 to 46,000. Now, 45 to 46,000 is another 20% fall. Now, if it actually goes down, the best case scenario stops here. The most likely scenario is that it is going to fall another 10%. And the worst case scenario is that it will fall another 20%. Now, if that is the case, and if you are not yet invested, if you're already invested, you have no point in withdrawing that money. But if we consider that there would be 10 to 20% fall, or in the most likely scenario, another 10% fall, I would start putting some money through SIP kind of investment and do some sort of a dollar cost averaging. So I would break down my investment into a few chunks. For example, right now, 10% of the money which I want to deploy in this particular index. And again, as I was telling before, Nifty 50 is the large cap. Please, keval Nifty 50 ko consider karo as a large cap. Don't consider this Nifty Next 50 as large cap. Consider this as mid or small cap. So whatever is your comfort. For example, if you have 100 rupees, you want to put 50 rupees in large cap, then all that 50 has to go in Nifty 50. The remaining 50 has to be divided between Nifty Next 50, mid cap and small cap. Based on that, whatever allocation you get, about 10% you can put in now. You wait for another 5% fall. That is where you bring in another 20%. You wait for another 5%, which will be 10% fall from here. That is where you can bring in another 30%. So some sort of a Fibonacci kind of thing, 10% now, then 20%, then 30%. So that will take care of 60% of your investment. You will be left with 40%. And that you just wait for the next 10% fall. And if it falls another 10%, which is like 20%, which is 78% retracement from that whole rise, you bring in that entire 40% in one shot. So 10%, 20%, 30%, and finally 40%. 10% now, 20% in another 5% fall, another 30% in 10% fall, and another 10% fall from there, you bring in the remaining. And that is how I would do it. So break down my investment into 10, 20, 30, and 40, 4 installments, and look at this particular index specifically in that fashion. So with that, I will conclude my presentation. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. It will give me some encouragement. And put a like and whatever comments, good or bad, please put it on the channel. Thank you so much. I'll stop here. All of you have a wonderful, wonderful trading week ahead. And see you. I'll try to do another video on a very interesting topic tomorrow. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you.